Hi, my name's Harry. I'm an osteopath, and today we're going to be going through the first episode of a foam rolling and mobility series. So we'll be focusing on thoracic spine, so your mid-back today, as well as jumping around to hips, lower leg, and hopefully you can enjoy it and feel a bit looser afterwards. So we're going to start nice and gently. If you're using one of my foam rollers, great. If you're not, that's absolutely fine. We're going to start with a modified child's pose. So sit on your haunches, and we're going to roll that foam roller out in front to get a nice stretch through our lower back, nice stretch through the outside of your shoulders, and it's also a good mobilization for your shoulder joints and SO extension when you put your thumbs on top. So let's have your thumbs pointing upwards, oscillate nice and gently for sort of 30 seconds. That's great. Palms down, oscillate nice and gently. And then we're going to do exactly the same, just change the direction a little bit. So we're going to come out to my left, and we're getting a little bit more of a stretch on the all opposite low back. Thumbs up. Excellent for shoulder issues or tight traps or tight low back. Nice and gentle as well. Let's come to the other side. Brilliant. Thumbs up. And back to neutral. And we're going to do it one last time each side. Should be getting a nice stretch as well, coming around the shoulders on the outside. And last one. Brilliant. We're going to come up. We're going to do a nice movement to get our mid-back flowing a little bit. Lots of us get very stiff in the sort of thoracic spine, which is this part of your spine. So we're going to have foam roller, palm on top, and you can sit back on your haunches a little bit if you want, but I tend to be fairly upright. And we're going to do thread the needle, but a nice rotation through here. Palm wants to be facing towards the sky. Let's roll it across, coming back and under. And again. So it's really nice using a foam roller to do an assisted thread the needle compared to when you're doing it by yourself. The fact that you can just rock back and forth just gives you that extra little bit of twist to open up those joints and those ribs in your mid-back. Brilliant. And then we're going to come up. So we're now going to move on to foam rolling our mid-back, which is my favourite place to foam roll, or one of. You're going to see that one of the big differences between this foam roller is that it's got a groove in the middle. This is for your spine. So the pointy bit of the spine's processes stick out further than lots of the muscles. So we want to mould around it, which is why our foam roller is shaped the way it is. So we're going to start by using the foam roller as a fulcrum to start getting some extension through our mid-back. How I tend to line it up is I tend to hold on to the central prongs, feel my spine into the groove. And at this point, we're just going to roll up. So if you start at your lower rib cage, just roll a fraction higher so you're not too low. And we're just going to have our arms raised and extend backwards. Our pelvis is still on the floor. We're just getting a really nice extension going through our mid-back. Once you've done a few rollbacks on one segment, just slowly roll it up inch by inch and just use it to get some extension through your mid-back, which lots of us are lacking with our modern work-life postures. If your head's getting a little bit uncomfortable, feel free just to support your head and roll back exactly the same, but just let your head sink into your hands. Personally, I like having the extra leverage, and then as you get up towards the end, up towards the neck, just don't go into the neck, come back down. Let's do it one more time, just flowing down. Interlace your fingers if your head's getting a bit tired. Oh, it feels nice. And you don't really want to go below the rib cage. Okay, brilliant. Come back up nice and gently. We're going to take it a next step now. So what we're going to do, this time we're going to raise our pelvis and actually foam roll. So we're targeting the muscles, the erector spinae muscles, either side of the spine. That's where all the rib heads attach, that's where all the facet joints provide all the movement in your spine. So once again, hold onto the central prongs, feel your spine into that groove, lift. And what I tend to do is go into a bit of a triangle hold. So I cross my arms over. This separates your shoulder blades, puts a little bit of tension into your rhomboids and trapezius. So they're a little bit tense as we're rolling over them to get better results. And then we're going to roll through here. So my pelvis is just a couple of centimeters off the ground. Nice slow movements to begin with. And just for 30 to 60 seconds. Once again, if your head's getting sore, if you've got a history of neck issues, interlace your fingers, support your head. Personally, I find it much more comfortable getting the shoulder blades out the way, but whatever works for you. As you come up towards the neck, maybe try just lifting the pelvis a fraction higher, so you're getting a little bit more pressure going down, and then as you come a little bit lower, just drop that pelvis a fraction. So you're doing a little bit of a rocking type motion. And you might hear a few clicks and pops, which is great. That's just the facet joints, which is where all the movement of the spine comes from, just gapping. Oh, that's great. Come and have a little break, come and recenter so don't roll off screen. And let's just do that for 30 seconds, crossing the arms over nice and gently to begin with. Don't roll too fast. If you need to support yourself, so if you're getting a little bit tired in the core, then by all means, or if you're new to foam rolling, just take some of your body weight off your hands to stabilize yourself, because you are using quite a lot of core work here. Oh, brilliant. Okay, after doing our mid-back, we're now going to move on to our hips. We're going to start off with a really gentle stretch for our hip flexors, which come from our lower spine down into our hips. They get really tight in people that often cycle a lot or spend a lot of time sitting at their desk, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the foam roller right underneath our hip joint and therefore our pelvis. So our pelvis, if you can feel a knobbly bit, big old bump on the side, that's the head of your femur. So what we're going to do, have the foam roller directly behind that. You can relax the head on the floor. We're gently going to tuck in one knee. Now, as I do this, you can see my other foot automatically lifts off the floor, which is a sign of hip flexor tension. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actively push our straight leg down towards the floor. You should feel a little bit of a stretch in the front of your hips on your straight leg side. If you don't feel it too much, don't need to worry. This is a very sort of entry-level one, but good for people who are particularly tight in those hip flexors, sort of psoas muscle. And we're just going to hold that, and then we're going to switch. So come and tuck in on the opposite side. Again, foot naturally comes up off the floor a little bit. Push that heel down, straighten those toes a little bit, and stretch through the floor of the hip. And switch. And switch. And again. Keep that heel on the floor. And last one. If you're really tight and really struggling to get that heel on the floor, just make a concerted effort to push down with the heel, even if you can't hit the floor. Brilliant. And let's take the foam roller away and come and sit up. We're going to do another really nice hip flexor. So this is one of my favourite stretches. I use it a lot with athletes, a lot of people that run or cycle, as well as everyone else that's just stuck behind a computer. So we're going to be on your toes at the back, knee directly below hip, and we're going to be stretching your back hip flexors. So what you want to do, squeeze your glutes together, so squeeze your bum, and try and use your lower abdomen to pull your pelvis up. So I'm kind of flattening out my low back, and I'm getting a really good stretch at the front of this hip. And what we're going to do though, we're not going to hold this one, we're going to rock. So we're going to just tuck under and squeeze. You should feel a nice stretch at the front of the hip. If you feel it coming lower down into the sort of quad area, that's totally fine. That's just your rec fem, which is a bit tight. So you need to loosen that off before it works its way up into the hip flexors. Often I'd recommend about 20 or so each side. Great. Let's switch. If it's getting sore on the knees, feel free to have a little pillow or something underneath. Just protect yourself. So clench your glutes, tuck your pelvis under, and repeat. If you want to make it harder, you can add in a little forward lunge with your front knee, or also add in a little bit of extension as well. But if you're already feeling a stretch, then this is a nice place to start. Brilliant. Now we're going to move on slightly lower to our quadriceps. So the quads are made up of 4 muscles coming down from just below your hip and coming down into your knee. Anyone that suffers with pain at the front of the knee below your kneecap, often very implicated in having really tight quads as they can pull on that tendon. Obviously not the only reason, but a common factor that plays into it. So if you're new to foam rolling, what I suggest is we're going to start by using the outer curves, which are much more gentle than if we use the middle humps or the central prongs, okay? So I'm going to place both my knees just below the foam roller in those outer curves. I'm going to keep straight legs to begin with, support myself on my forearms, and then just roll nice and slowly through that. What this is doing is it's helping reduce some of that sort of neurological input into the muscles, which helps them relax, helps with circulation, lymphatic drainage, as well as potentially helping release sort of tight fascia and things like that. But the research is a little bit out on that one. Great. To make it a little bit harder, bend your knees up so we're stretching those muscles as we're rolling. Perfect. Excellent. Come back up for me. We're going to finish off with my absolute favourite. We'll end almost every session with this one. It's going to be targeting your suboccipital muscles. So suboccipital muscles are right at the base of the skull and go into the neck. It's the easiest area where you can stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic, so your sort of relaxing, quiet nervous system, compared to your sympathetics, which is your sort of fight or flight type one. So this is always a really nice one to end with, and also a nice one to do just before bed if you're having difficulty sleeping. So we're going to use the central prongs on the Manta roller. We're going to have it right at the base of the skull. And then what we're going to do, we're going to give ourselves a very attractive double chin. So we're going to pull our chin down a little bit. And what this is doing is opening up all the joints in the spine and in the neck, lengthening those muscles while applying direct pressure to those suboccipital muscles to help them release. And we're just going to hold it here. This is one of the ones that you can hold and do longer for than 90 seconds. And you can either just drop the chin down, relax, have your knees bent, just protect your low back, and focus on your breathing. Or you can do a little bit of nodding if you rather, but I quite like just sitting and focusing on your breath. This is a really important one as well for anyone suffering with tension headaches. When these muscles get very tight, they can pull on the fascia and potentially some of the dura around the brain, which creates those sort of tension headaches and suboccipital headaches. So this is a really nice one for anyone that's been suffering. And nice and slowly come and sit up. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're feeling a little looser and a little bit freer. And hopefully see you next time. Thanks.